'Cause when that ferryman comes for to tally up my worth, I won't leave much to find that can be found. Well, I'm gonna have my spade up upon my way back. I'm gonna keep the stuck in my soul. 'Cause when my coals burn low and my trains run out of track, won't be no one else to dig my hole. Well, I got no companion except the wind and the sea. And when I'm still and empty, they're the ones who'll bury me. Well, I'm gonna cast my stones o'er the waters of this land, and by and by I'll see that
It's nearly Christmas. Many are drinking liberally. A man staggers up from a downstairs bar and falls over the top step. Help me! You can barely hear his voice over the traffic. For God's sake, help! People tut at the man's drunken state. A woman tosses a coin at him without even looking. The drunk clasps at his gut and looks straight at you. Help me, please. He lifts his hand from his stomach. His palm is red with blood. You press a cloth on the wound, and he hisses with agony. Another man strides up the stairs, laughing. He looks at the bleeding man, sweeps his Stetson off in a theatrical bow, then turns to you. You best mind your own. He steps forward, smiling toothily. He twitches his jacket up and rests his hand just above a pistol. Good evening to you. Tipping his Stetson in a gesture of farewell, he walks fast, but not fearfully, and does not look back. The bleeding man collapses into a fetal position. His clothes are saturated, and a bloody puddle has formed around him. There's nothing you could have done to save him. You could speak to the police, but you didn't see the killing blow. cop stopped a truck from the nearby army base. The driver is furious. He yells, "Hey, get over here!" Shit. You approach, and he tries to give you a case of liquor. "No way!" the cop shouts. "Have your little speed limit power trip!" the driver barks. "Major needs his booze now!" "Run this half a mile down to the base. I'll give you something nice," orders the driver. "Ridiculous," the cop blusters. You imagine someone like yourself walking into an army base with a major's box of personal booze and are inclined to agree. When you approach the base gates, 3 kids in uniform scream at you. It's not until the major himself arrives that they accept your story. "Get your hands off my grandfather's whiskey," he snaps, ripping the box from your arm. Nobody remembers to pay you. At the end of a low-lit, smoky bar, a young man is recounting a story to a woman whose dark pin curls bob with every fascinated nod of her head. He nonchalantly waves the .38 special he's holding. "From the bank!" is pitched high enough for half the bar to hear. The bartender rolls her eyes, but no one seems particularly bothered by the storyteller or his weapon. You catch snippets of his tail as he waves his hands. "Farm! Everything will be all right now. Just a little robbery." Stand out. "I don't think of it as stealing, just righting a wrong. The bank took Dad's money and we're going to take his land. Now he can pay him and stay where he is for as long as he wants. It happens to be with the bank's own money. Even better." The woman's curls bounce as she shakes her head, a half-hearted protest undercut by her laughter. "I gotta lie low for a bit," he says. "When I'm back, we can get married, start a family of our own." Maybe everything will work out for these two. Maybe.
a moment, when I saw you coming close to the fire, I thought I saw a friend I made in port years ago, far away from here. Haven't seen him in years. Never will again. Anyhow, you got any stories that end looking up? I missed... You got a ways to go before that story's in shape for the rags. Freedom's tricky on the sea. As mariners, we never had a choice where we went or what we did. But on the sea, I never felt as free from my daddy's eyes or as far away from those fields outside of town. Anyway, I miss the stories that make your ribs ache laughing. You got any of those? Ain't laughed like that in a while. I loved my family. But when I entered the service, I fell in love with the sea and my brothers. You think your heart can't make room enough, but it grows bigger than you can imagine to fit them all in. But you tell me, what's the wildest thing you've seen on the roads out here? Anything good and exciting? Sounds like one of the bad soppy ones I used to read. Travel, the real deal. It was a whole different thing. The stories I read as a kid never told me about the fog so thick you can't see the Eiffel Tower, or how the rats cover the street in every port. But I'd see it all again if I could. But you know, the books I miss the most is the hopeful ones. Got any of those? Sounds like it wants to be a story from the good old rags, but it ain't there yet. My home. When I was a kid, home was my daddy on his chair and mama listening to the radio. But for a while there, the sea was my home. As welcome as a worn leather seat, its call sweeter than any music. So I miss them blood-pounding adventure stories. You got any like that? My daddy said those stories aren't like the world really is. He was right. My future. The moment our ship got hit, everything went black. I opened my eyes and nothing changed. I could hardly see. My future ended right there. Ah, here's the sun. Time for me to get going. If you ever find yourself over this way, ask around for me. I'll have more stories for you about the sea and the brothers I left behind out there. They're always on my mind. Always will be.
suddenly become conscious of something heavy in the air. The light of the cigarette breaks the darkness. In its glow, you see the face. Something inside you wishes you hadn't. ¿Quieres esto? He rasps. Then, cigarette? Right, he nods. Live longer. He leans to snub out the cigarette, and his whole body starts to dissolve. You watch him disintegrate until all that remains is a disquieting pile of, well, bone meal? The cigarette still smolders on top of the heap. The bone meal carcass of the cigarette-smoking stranger isn't nice to eat. After a couple mouthfuls, you move onwards, feeling interestingly better than before. The grackle perches on a fence post at the border of the farm. Fields have been stripped clean. A man lies on his front in the dirt, seeds spilling out from the sack he holds in one hand. Please, his voice thin with exhaustion. It wants more. You take the sack. The birds' heads turn in rhythm as 6 eyes assess you. More, it says, a multi-voiced croak. You're not sure which head to feed, so you just hold out your seed-filled hand. It pecks you hard enough to draw blood. More. You carefully feed it a handful of seed. More. You cautiously feed it a handful of seed. More. You tentatively feed it a handful of seed. More. The sack is running low. You delicately feed it a handful of seed. More. The sack is empty. The man groans. It'll eat anything. That was all I had left. My family's inside. Please. The bird looks at you. The man. The house. More. The bird insists. You offer your empty hand. The bird regards it for a second and stabs its right beak forward and slices out a chunk of your flesh. The middle head squawks, and the right one tosses the meat up. Middle head catches it and swallows. All 3 look back to you. More. You keep your hand steady. Left head leans in and nibbles at your damaged flesh. It's a delicate pain. A series of snips so small and precise that anyone alone would be nothing. But the bird keeps taking until you're forced to snatch your bloodied hand back. More. The bird crows with rage, sending droplets of your blood showering from its beak. You notice the flecks of red in its eyes for the first time. The aberrant thing flies at you, reaching out with its scything claws. The bird gouges your arm. You bat it away. It lands by the man, hopping closer and driving its beak deep into his arm, yanking loose a vein and tugging on it as if it were an earthworm.
Well, I'm gonna scroll my name on the bare bones of the earth. I'm gonna dig my heels into the ground. 'Cause when that
The woman hauls a bin of clothes over to a vat of gray water. She's sluggish. Moving seems to take great effort. She plunges a shirt into the vat, begins working it over a washboard. Despite her slow movements, there's an inexorable intensity to the way she works. But her eyes are bloodshot and glazed. Her lips cracked and split. She can't have slept or washed in days. She collects the next bin, moving with the shuffle of a sleepwalker. You enter the nearby shack. A man's inside, sorting through a jumbled bag of dirty clothes.
You hear about Celia? I know how it looks, but she's fine, really. Since her daughter vanished, all she's been able to do is work.
He smiles.
Best worker I ever had.
He recoils.
I've tried to wake her,
He pleads.
but it always ends badly. Doctor says this is the best place for her right now. It's all she's up to doing, and she has me to look after her when she wears herself out.